So just by a show of hands, or if you're watching online, you can just put a little thumbs up in the comments section. How many of you were raised with the concept of original sin? And this is how I'm going to describe it. Now, they already raised in their hands the doctrine that because of our original disobedient parents, Adam and Eve, that our innate nature is sinful, incapable of reconciliation with God except through Jesus. That is the traditional Christian theology that has certainly been active in this country's forming and for eons now throughout the history of Christianity. That core theology was not part of the teachings of Jesus. Jesus never said, you guys are unsavable, except if I'm going to choose to save you. Rather, it was one that was developed 300 years after his death by Augustine of Hippo. It was developed as a way to answer to the growing Gnostic movement of the time that understood that they were divine and they were working on enhancing that divinity in order to be able to make welcome that energy, that ability to demonstrate just as Jesus had done, to understand and to develop their own divine nature. If you've been brought up with these traditional beliefs, as I was in the Presbyterian Church, in fact, they still say it every Sunday today, we're like miserable, sinners, of the world, and that's how they start their prayers. We're not worthy, we're not okay, but please, please God, please Jesus, come and help us. That metaphysical window with that understanding, we talked last week about it, and if you missed last week, I encourage you to just go get some of that foundational metaphysical understanding, because I spent a lot more time on that. That when you're looking for enlightenment through that lens, it's going to be much different than if you were brought up with or have now ascribed to the awareness that you were born divine. It's a very different perspective from which to look at who we are as individuals and who we are in this world, and for that matter, who is that God that is the creator. Interestingly enough, no other world religion, including Judaism, where this idea of the fall of Adam and Eve originates from in the Christian theology, teaches that humankind is innately sinful. They recognize that with free will, humans often do sin, do err, do make mistakes, but they also teach that we have the capacity to express those same divine God qualities like love and mercy and compassion. So as we're looking for greater clarity around trying to understand this great mystery of the nature of God and the nature of humans and the relationship between them, it calls us to look beyond this transient physical and interpret it from that way to the science of what is often called eternal being, or what Eric Butterworth calls in his book, Practical Metaphysics, simply the pursuit of truth. Reverend Butterworth reminds us that the most important mindset in this pursuit of metaphysical truth is to recognize that it's not a stagnant thing, that as we understand and gain more knowledge, as living and growing and changing beings, as more light, more awakeness happens to us, we will see in a new way. We will see in a deeper way. We will expand our own consciousness. We're told in Genesis 1:27, and I didn't realize we were going to be using that as our scripture this morning in the Daily Word, and you can say it a lot of ways, but this is God created man and women, humankind, in his or her or its image. The principle is stated in different ways, by most religions, but it has historically been interpreted to mean that God must have the same physical and emotional features as us, just in greater ways. It's that perspective that shaped the writers of the Old Testament, where at times God shows up as angry or jealous or sometimes just downright mean, it seems like, in their literal interpretation of this ancient creation story. This is what, God looks like for us. It's that bearded, long-haired, we hope most of the time wise creator that's somewhere out there beyond the horizons that we haven't quite explored yet. Mystically understood, being created in God's image doesn't mean we look like God in a physical sense. It means that we possess the same qualities as God. You can think of it in modern scientific terms. We have God DNA within us. That's the very essence of who we are. And so when we're looking to try and understand our own nature through this truth that we've been created in that image and likeness, we're looking to understand that from the perspective of what are God's qualities. Jesus said God is love. That was the simplest statement about something that is oftentimes incomprehensible. And so we have been created in that same love and capacity to love as God. God is spirit, so therefore we, in at least our essence, our God DNA, are also spirit. So the biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of us, and maybe even a lot of others on this human journey, is that we have been taught and born into a mistaken identity. An identity that says that we're merely human beings, and if we're lucky, we have an occasional spiritual experience. That we are born in sin, merely a product of our personality, of our culture, of our circumstances, of our family, and we're each destined to die. What if, as philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin discovered in his own metaphysical searching, that we are eternal spiritual beings having a human experience? It changes the way you begin to look at and to understand this experience of life. What if we have been created in the image and likeness of God means that we have that same evolving creative nature as God seems to express into the universe? It's not static, it's always evolving and changing. What if Jesus didn't come as the sacrifice necessary to reconcile us with God, rather as a demonstration of our own true divine nature? Came to reveal and to manifest and to make real that which ultimately, I believe, must become normal behavior of a highly evolved race. It's the direction that we're moving into. The question is, who do you think you are? And that's the question we're going to take into our time of meditation. So if you would be willing to join me as we just redirect our focus inward once again. It might help if you close your eyes, or if you're more comfortable, just focus on some point in the room so that you can let go of all the outer stimuli and just be present to what's arising through your thoughts, through your emotions, through your intuition in this time of quiet reflection. So as you take a deep breath in, knowing that every time you are attentive to the breath as it moves in and out of the body, you are attentive to this present moment. And that's always where God is found, is in the present moment, not in our past, not somewhere out there in the future, but in this eternal now. And as you just continue to breathe naturally and normally, and using that gift, that power of imagination that is part of our DNA, picture that there is a mirror in front of you that you're gazing into. And as you gaze at this reflection of yourself, with an open heart and mind, simply ask the question, who do you think you are? See if you can look past all the human descriptions of the roles that you play in this life, the way others might describe you, beyond all of that. Who do you think you are? And then as you take another deep breath, see how it feels. What thoughts arise when you are looking at that reflection of yourself and you say, I am the Christ. I am divine. I am the eachness within the allness of God. Whatever feels most comfortable. Does it lift you up? Does it make you doubt? Do you hear all the arguments about why that might not be a true statement for you, based on what you've done or not done in your journey of this life? One more time, looking at the reflection of yourself. See if you can declare with greater certainty, greater ownership, that I am divine. I am the Christ. I am a unique expression of the Creator. One more deep breath just to bring your attention back to this time and to this space. Aware once again of the body that is your earth suit and the bench supporting you. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I'm inviting you this week because, nothing happens unless we begin to practice it. We can think about it all we want, but if we really want to have a way to have it be a part of our experience, if we want to truly shift any of those now what we consider to be beliefs that no longer serve us, we have to begin to practice this. So to make it really real, when you are in your home or getting ready in the morning and looking in the mirror, just take a moment to look at that reflection and say, who do you think you are? And, if you can, be willing to also declare to that reflection of yourself some version of your own true identity, which is divine. You may need to clean your window a little bit. You may need to recognize and release some of those old unconscious beliefs that cloud your ability to see beyond this flawed human experience. But ultimately, it's there to support you in continuing to awaken to God's love, the peace that brings, and to recognize that it's not something we need to strive. We don't have to become more spiritual. We are already as spiritual as we're ever going to be. It's our very essence. Rather, it's a process of revealing and of embodying the innate God DNA that's already present within us. Heaven is not a destination, it's a state of mind. You know, in the early 80s, as I was embarking upon my own spiritual journey, one of the first things I read that really resonated with me was a book by Shirley MacLaine called Out on a Limb. How many of you remember? Yeah, you're going to show your age along with me. When she discovers through her travels and all of her mistakes, because she had the first probably half of the book, she's telling you, here's how often I screwed up, and here's how many things I did. But when she discovers and gets to that place where she could boldly proclaim, I am God. Do you remember that? It caused quite a ruckus out there in the media world. It was shocking at the time for somebody to say that, especially after they had read through that other part of her life. It's like, how can you stand there and say that you are God? But she wasn't talking about God with a big G. She was talking about God with a small g, the same thing we're just talking about. She recognized that she was divine. That was her true nature. And it took me some time to sort of navigate that and get to an understanding where I could support her in saying that, and I could begin to discover that for myself. And she also said something that has stuck with me all of these decades, and it's this, and this is my invitation also to you this week. She said, don't be afraid to go out on a limb. That's where all the fruit is. So today, you may say certain things about yourself, but God says, you are strong, you are light, you are love. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial gifts and tithes and love offerings with this ministry. And now let us take what we offer to this ministry into our hands and into our hearts and bless it. Together, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
Let's join hands and we'll do our peace song.
So as we move into this day, into this week, exploring who we are, who is our true identity, we go knowing our prayer for protection together, and we'll do call and response. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us. Together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well.